CreepyCorner stories.
Hey everyone, welcome back to CreepyCorner stories. You know, diving into the dark web is always risky, but sharing these stories with you makes it worth it. I'm curious, where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments below. I've noticed that these kinds of stories hit differently depending on where you are. It might even make the experience a little creepier. So, tell me, are you watching from the safety of your home or somewhere less secure? My roommate is Cannibal professional cooking chef. He found a job on the dark web and was invited to evil elite Bohemian party. His first meal to prepare was Michael Jackson. Okay, so I never thought I'd be the kind of person to post something like this. But after everything that happened, I feel like I have to. Not just for me, but for anyone else who might be stumbling into something similar. I swear on everything, this is 100% real. No joke, no creepypasta fiction, or any of that made-up Reddit karma bait stuff. I'm telling you this because I need someone to believe me. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. After what I've seen, crazy doesn't even begin to describe it. So, let's rewind. I had just moved to Portland, Oregon. I had broken up with my ex, lost my job during a weird internal shakeup at the company I worked for. Some weird startup that claimed to make AI comfort pillows. Don't even ask. And I was dead broke. I needed a place to live fast and cheap. Craigslist. Of course. Found a listing that seemed too good to be true. Clean apartment, downtown, 3 blocks from a Starbucks, and across the street from a Trader Joe's. Rent was $500 per month. Split utilities, roommate included. The ad was short. Just said, room for rent, no drugs, must be clean, must respect privacy, no picky eaters. At the time, I thought that last part was weird, but maybe he just meant like, don't complain about the smell of bacon or something. Whatever. I messaged the guy, and within a few hours, he responded. Name was Gavin. I met him at the apartment. He was normal, kinda tall, dark hair slicked back, wore a black apron that said "Kiss the Cook" over a white shirt, like he'd just stepped out of a Food Network audition. He had this real calm energy, like someone who had seen a lot of stuff and didn't really react to much anymore. Place was clean, smelled like rosemary and something meaty. We chatted for maybe 15 minutes. He asked a few questions. If I'd snored, if I had any food allergies, if I had a strong stomach. I laughed at that one. I should not have laughed, but I was desperate. He said I could move in the next day. No deposit, no contract. So yeah, I moved in. The first 2 weeks were normal, chill even. Gavin was hardly ever home during the day, but he always cooked dinner around 11 p.m., like clockwork. I thought it was odd at first, but hey, chefs are weird about their schedules. I'm not judging. He'd come in late at night, carrying these black duffel bags, sometimes with dry ice, fogging out the sides. I figured it was just food from some farmer's market or a secret butcher hookup. I mean, dude was always in that apron, always prepping something. Every night, I'd hear this low chopping sound coming from the kitchen. Rhythmic, almost hypnotic. I'd scroll on TikTok, watching those weird core edits with sad music, but in the background, there was always that sound. Chop, chop, chop. But the smells, man, sometimes it smelled amazing. Garlic, roasted tomatoes, smoked paprika. Other times it smelled wrong, like old pennies and wet fur. Once I could have sworn it smelled like burnt hair, but I brushed it off. Told myself it was just offal or organ meat or something. Then I started noticing the trash bags. He always took them out himself. Always triple bagged, tied off with zip ties, carried them like they were full of something fragile. Once I peeked inside one, just curious. And man, I wish I hadn't. I saw what looked like a human hand. No skin, just muscle and bone, like it had been boiled clean. I jumped back so fast I smacked my head on the wall. Told myself it was a Halloween prop. Or maybe he worked in special effects. Anything but what it really looked like. But then, I started hearing screams. They were muffled, like they were coming from inside the walls or the basement. We didn't have a basement, at least not one I had access to. One night, I decided to follow him. He left around 9:45 p.m. Black hoodie, black duffel bag. Got into an Uber Black, one of those top-tier Uber rides you only order if you're trying to flex or hide something. I hopped on my bike and followed the car downtown. He stopped at this old building near Burnside, boarded up windows, no lights. There was this rusted iron gate with a crest on it, a goat's head over crossed knives. No joke. I googled the symbol when I got home. The closest thing I found was this secret dining club from the 80s called Bohemian. Supposedly, it was for rich people to indulge in the primal delicacies of the world. That's literally how the article phrased it. Primal delicacies. No one had heard from them since '96. People said it was a myth. I went back to the apartment. Gavin wasn't home yet, but I couldn't sleep. At 2:47 a.m., he came back, duffel bag in hand, apron already on, covered in stains, and then he cooked. That night, I swear the smell was unlike anything I've ever smelled before. Sweet, smoky, metallic, and I heard him singing, real low, just one line, over and over again. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? I didn't even connect it at first, but when I looked at his cutting board in the morning, I saw a glove, a single white glove, sequins and all, covered in something dark and crusted. I didn't go to work that day. I just sat in my room, phone in hand, ready to call someone, anyone. But what do you even say? Hey, I think my roommate cooked Michael Jackson last night. I know how that sounds. I know. But it gets worse. Way worse. I'm gonna write part 2 after I calm down. There's something else I need to tell you. Something that happened last night. And this time, I saw it. The glove was still on the counter the next morning. I didn't touch it. Couldn't. It just sat there, like it was watching me, silently daring me to say something. The sequins sparkled under the kitchen lights. I remember staring at one tiny dried red spot near the wrist and thinking, that's not ketchup. That day felt like I was walking through molasses. I didn't eat, couldn't scroll through Instagram or TikTok without thinking about what I saw. Every time a McDonald's ad popped up, or one of those influencer cooking reels with the aesthetic kitchen and ASMR knife sounds, I felt sick. Actual nausea. Like my brain knew something my body wasn't ready to accept yet. But I didn't run. And I should have. Gavin didn't say a word about the glove. Didn't say good morning. Didn't even look at me when he came in and grabbed his French press off the counter. His face was pale that day. Sweaty. Eyes a little too wide. Like he had just seen God. Or something way worse. There was a small blood stain on the side of his apron. He hadn't even tried to wash it. Then he smiled. Like he knew I noticed. Like he wanted me to. That night, something snapped in me. Maybe it was fear, or maybe some kind of sick curiosity. Either way, I needed to know. I waited until he left. 10:04 p.m. No bag this time, just a keyring I'd never seen before, and his black hoodie zipped up to his chin. I watched him from the window as he turned the corner and disappeared down the block. And then I went into the kitchen, not to snoop, but to check the freezer. Now, this might sound stupid, but our freezer had a false back. I never realized it before, but while I was digging through looking for something, anything, I noticed that the light didn't hit the back wall properly. There was this weird drop shadow, like something was off. So I tugged, hard. The back panel popped loose, and behind it, a staircase, straight up, metal rungs bolted into concrete, leading straight down into pitch black nothingness. It smelled dead, like expired meat and bleach and moldy wood. My eyes watered instantly, but I climbed down. I don't even know why. Something pulled me there. Something told me if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I'd never understand what Gavin really was. And now I wish I didn't. There was a door at the bottom, black steel, dented like something or someone had pounded it from the inside. A keypad next to it, smeared with something dark. I was about to head back up when I heard it. That voice, high-pitched, singing. Hee. It wasn't a recording. It wasn't an echo. It was alive. Something was alive down there. The door opened on its own. I don't know if it was motion activated or if someone on the other side opened it, but the second it cracked open, the smell hit me like a baseball bat to the teeth. Inside was a room that looked like a surgical theater, if it had been designed by Satan on a cocaine bender. Stainless steel walls, fluorescent lights that flickered like they were shorting out, cameras in each corner, a metal table in the center, and on that table was a body, or what was left of it. No skin, just muscle and nerves and bones, peeled like a rotisserie chicken in progress. The face was gone, like someone had carefully sliced it off and worn it. The scalp was folded back like the cover of a book. The ribs had been broken open, and something inside was twitching, like nerves firing without a brain. I didn't scream. I couldn't. I just froze. Then I saw the sign on the wall. Client number 43. Meal, the king of pop. I felt my knees buckle, fell to the floor and dry heaved. There were photos on the wall. Not crime scene photos. Menus, with dates. Menu 12, Kobe Bryant. Marinated ribs, torched Achilles tendon, served with mamba sauce. Menu 24, Jeffrey Epstein. Bone marrow custard, undercooked. Guests reported dissociation. Menu 31, Brittany clone number 4, still under development. I don't remember walking back up. I don't even remember breathing. My brain just went static. The kind of static you hear when your ears ring after a loud concert, but inside your soul. I got to my room and locked the door. Sat in the dark for hours, eyes wide open, just shaking. Then, at 3:08 a.m. exactly, I got a message. It was in a cathedral-shaped slaughterhouse beneath the mansion. The walls were glass, but behind the glass were meat lockers, and inside the lockers were people, still alive. Some crying, some singing. One man just repeated, "I'm still trending, I'm still trending," like it was a spell to save him. The table was at least 30 feet long enough to seat kings or monsters, and they were all there, not who they looked like, but who they used to be. There was a woman at the head who looked exactly like Beyoncé, but she wasn't. Her skin had been stretched too tight over her cheekbones. Her smile was stapled. There was a man in a tuxedo made from human skin, humming Frank Sinatra. His fingers dripped grease. A child-sized figure wore a mask of Garfield the cat, and its voice, digitized, said, "Would you like some Monday?" while carving a roast with fingers still twitching. The meal began with appetizers. Each plate came with a card: retired pop star, spinal cord noodles; reality starlet, implanted breast fat confit; YouTuber, cheek meat sliders with edible thumbnails. I didn't eat, but Gavin did, with passion, with tears in his eyes, like this was sacred, like this was salvation. And then came the main course, wheeled in by two masked servers, laid out like a feast: roasted torso, head intact, but eyes burned out, dressed in gold foil. The sign said, "Guest of honor, resurrected Michael number 6, final clone, flavored by fear." You don't understand. It was him. It was Michael Jackson, or something wearing his DNA. His mouth moved. He looked at me and mouthed, "They made me again. I didn't want to come back." And Gavin, he pulled out a spoon and whispered, "He's better the 6th time." I ran, tore through that mansion like a rabid animal, slipping in blood, knocking over trays of fingers and ears and baby teeth in caviar. I don't even remember how I found the exit. Just remember the screams behind me turning into laughter. Laughter like a studio audience. I got out. Barely. They let me go. That's what haunts me the most. It's been 4 months. I moved across the country, changed my name, deleted every app. I don't even own a phone anymore. I live off the grid, middle of nowhere, Maine. But still, every once in a while, I hear it. A knock at the door, a faint smell of garlic and smoke, and the song. Always the song. "Annie, are you okay?" I don't sleep anymore. Not really. Because I know they're not done eating. You think you've seen the worst of it. That's what I told myself, anyway. After watching Gavin eat Michael Jackson clone meat like it was Holy Communion, after running through a human meat banquet filled with celebrities turned dishes, after reading a menu that listed YouTuber thigh tartare, I really thought nothing could top that. I was so wrong, because what I saw next didn't just show me evil. It showed me the system behind it, the farm, the factory, the harvest facility, and this time, I didn't find it. It found me. I'd been hiding out in the backwoods of Maine, like I said, burned all IDs, changed my name, grew a beard, didn't use Wi-Fi. I cooked my own food, filtered my own water, even used an old-school flip phone with a cracked screen and a battery that only lasted 2 hours, max. Thought I was safe, until I woke up in a metal crate. No light, no sound, just cold steel, and my own breathing bouncing back at me like a death rattle. I don't know how long I was in there. Hours, days. I didn't eat, barely moved. I'd black out and wake up again, and each time I did, the air felt more sterile, more processed, like a lab, not a room. Then the crate opened, blinding white light. 2 men in black hazmat suits pulled me out, didn't say a word, just dragged me across a white tiled floor that smelled like bleach and blood and boiled protein. Everything echoed, like the walls were watching, and in front of me stood a glass elevator, floor after floor beneath it, at least 10 levels straight down, each labeled in red LED lights. Level -1, dehairing and skin, tensioning level, -2, vocal cord, harvest, level, -3, brand-specific marbling enhancement, level, -4, influencer feeding and fattening, level, -5, clone incubation, pending viral DNA, Level -6. TikTok livestock. They shoved me in the elevator. Press -4. That's when I realized I was in Switzerland. Not a city. Not near anything human. I saw the mountains when we passed a window. The Alps, quiet and beautiful and cruel. No one would ever hear screaming out here. Level -4 was a nightmare of sugar, neon lights, and death. Imagine a massive warehouse-sized gym crossed with a 24/7 TikTok house, lit up in pastel blues and pinks. Dozens, no, hundreds of influencers in glass pens, some running on treadmills, some crying while doing makeup tutorials. One girl screamed, "Don't forget to like and subscribe," while a machine force-fed her something pink and chunky. Their faces were perfect. Too perfect. Sculpted by algorithms. Cheekbones set for maximum engagement. Skin tone filtered in real life. Their eyes glowed, not metaphorically, literally. Each one had a screen embedded in their pen showing their live stats, followers, likes, average watch time. One pen held a guy named at FitJake97, 5.3 million followers. Pinned post, "What I eat in a day." Warning, 6,000 calories. Status, fattening. Phase 3, prime thigh tissue. He saw me and begged through the glass, mouth stained with something red. They put AdSense in my blood, bro. Every calorie's monetized. You can't leave. You can't. I was yanked away before he could finish. Then came level -6, the livestock floor. If you're still reading, brace yourself. This is where God stops looking. They called it the coop. Giant glass corridors, everything white, soundproofed, echoing only your heartbeat. And inside those corridors were pens. Nurseries, they said. Rows and rows of influencer clones, barely a year old. Not infants, not toddlers. Fully grown bodies, baby-brained, pumping out lip-sync content through implanted devices while being bottle-fed synthetic trend-flavored formula. Each clone had a tag, at Lil Sway, born from 2.3 million average engagement DNA, at Hype Baby 33, Dance Gene injected, Megan the Stallion Rhythm, Sync at ASMR Queen Dead, Voice Harvest Phase, Larynx marinating. They weren't people, not anymore. They were products, and every one of them was being bred for flavor. Viral meat ages faster, one handler told me, pushing a cart full of sharpened ring lights turned into surgical tools. More attention equals more flavor. That's why TikTok's perfect. It's a feeding algorithm for the elite. Then he smiled like this was normal, like he was proud. The worst was level -5, clone incubation. This is where I saw them make the meat. It wasn't science fiction, it was wet, bloody, biological. Rows of glass vats filled with thick pink fluid, each one bubbling with twitching limbs and half-grown faces. Some vats had multiple torsos fused together like social media Siamese twins. Some had grown wrong, backs turned inward, legs folded like origami, faces trying to scream but sealed shut with skin. And above every vat floated a name, not a human name, a brand. McDonald's campaign meat, 2025. Disney Plus exclusive, grown Zendaya substitute, edible. YouTube Rewind, PewDiePie, liver reserve, VP only. One vat popped while I watched, like an overripe blister. The creature inside spilled onto the floor twitching, trying to form a dance move. A handler stepped on its head with a steel boot. No hesitation. "This one didn't trend," he said. "You want to know who runs this place? The CEO of TikTok, but not the one you think. Not the smiling guy in the suit you see at tech conferences. This thing, it's not even human anymore. Level -7 is where they keep him. I only saw him once, through a thick glass window, lined with bone. He's stretched. His head is perfectly square. His skin shifts colors depending on who's looking. His voice plays trending sounds on loop, sped up songs, fake emotional voiceovers, broken AI girl voices saying, "Nobody's gonna know, they're gonna know." He lives suspended in a liquid called pure engagement. The liquid is alive. It feeds off attention, turning likes and comments into fuel for the system. And when it speaks, you don't hear it with your ears. You hear it in your tongue, like it's licking your brain from the inside. It whispered one word to me: cook. I escaped because something went wrong. One of the influencers went viral too fast. They called it a meat spike. Her follower count broke the algorithm, caused the cloning system to overheat, and vats started exploding. I ran during the chaos, hid inside a delivery cart marked McRib Research, do not open. They dumped me in a lake outside Geneva. I crawled to a village, covered in fake blood, smelling like hot meat and trauma. No one helped. They just stared. Someone filmed me and uploaded it. It got 4.2 million views. They called me the Meat Man. And now they know I'm alive. I've seen the drones. They hover outside my cabin. They don't attack. They just watch. One dropped a box last night. Inside was a plastic fork, engraved with 2 words. Dinner's coming. You made it here. You've read everything. You followed me into the boiling heart of something ancient, rich, and absolutely inhuman. But I need you to understand something before I tell you what happened at the final dinner. This wasn't just a cult. It wasn't just a business. It was a religion made of flesh, fueled by algorithms and blood, wrapped in gold, and sealed with the screams of people who sold their souls for a little blue check mark. This was the last course. And when I say I saw the elite eat themselves, I don't mean metaphorically. I don't mean some poetic irony. I mean exactly what it sounds like. They consumed themselves while smiling. The dinner took place exactly 44 days after I escaped the Swiss facility. I had gone as far off-grid as possible. Desert town in Kazakhstan, no running water, living off yak meat and radio static. I didn't even use a name anymore. No mirrors, no social media, not even a voice. And still, they found me. It was a little boy, looked no older than 10, pale, dressed in a sharp black tuxedo, no whites in his eyes, just inky black voids. He walked barefoot across the desert toward my shack. No footprints, no shadow. He handed me a box. Inside, a gold fork, a black napkin with the initials BN stitched in human hair, and a card, smooth, cold, bone-colored. It read, "Your presence is required. Final dinner. Location, the core. Entree, yourself." They came for me that night, not in a car, not in a jet, in a train, an underground, speeding, black serpent that split the desert open like it had always been there. A door unfolded from the sand. I stepped inside, and the world vanished. The train had no driver, no engine, just velvet booths, plates, champagne flutes, and a single passenger, Gavin. He looked wrong, older, rotten around the edges like his skin was starting to realize what it had been doing. His fingers were cracked and leaking grease. His apron was stitched into his chest now, fused to his collarbones. He looked at me and smiled. "Welcome to the core. We've been cooking you for years." The core wasn't a place. It was a body, a living, breathing structure beneath the earth, built of bone, muscles, tendons acting like elevators. The air throbbed. The walls sweated. Every surface was alive. You walked through hallways made of ribs, over floors that pulsed with red veins. Chandeliers made from twitching spinal cords dangled above marble tables set with jawbones and toothpick knives. And in the center of the cathedral, the final table, 30 seats, each occupied by the faces of the world, not who they claimed to be, but the things wearing their faces. Elon Musk, chewing calmly on a cube of Zuckerberg's clone tongue. Madonna, sharpening a blade carved from Steve Jobs' shinbone. A Kardashian-like figure, her lips soaked in blood, talking about self-devouring cycles while nibbling on a slice of her own thigh. The Pope was there, but not the real one. This thing was transparent. His guts floated in black gel, and he whispered prayers made of URLs and broken Latin. And at the end of the table sat her, the true host. She had no face, just an influencer ring light embedded in the front of her skull, glowing eternally. Her body was stitched together from dozens of other women, ripped abs from fitness models, legs from dancers, arms of tennis stars, all mismatched, all decaying. She didn't speak. She projected into our minds. Tonight, we feast on finalities. You are not the guest. You are the dish. They didn't drag me. They invited me, led me to the center of the table where a chrome slab waited, my seat. But this slab had straps, knives, screens playing my entire life on loop. Every selfie, every DM, every Google search, every time I typed, "Am I going crazy?" or "Can they track my thoughts?" I sat down. Gavin approached in full chef's uniform. His eyes were gone now, just empty sockets leaking view counts. He leaned close, whispered, "The more followers you had, the more tender your meat gets. You're marbled with fear. I've been besting your soul for months." He took the first cut, just under my rib, slow, surgical. The blade didn't hurt. It burned, like it knew what it was stealing. He sliced off a thin sliver of skin and muscle, placed it on a plate made of polished skull. Then he served it. The elite applauded. Forks rose, and they ate me, one bite at a time. They didn't stop at skin. They took memories. A piece of my shoulder came with my first kiss. My thigh carried the death of my mother. My eyes, they shed every fear I ever Googled at 3 a.m. Each bite made them younger, smarter, more trending, and as they ate, they began to duplicate. I watched a second Elon split from the first, smile wider, and take the plate from himself. Madonna grew an extra arm that reached into her chest and pulled out a glowing fetus she bit into like fruit. Then they began eating each other. The final ritual, a self-cannibalizing loop, endless, viral, forever devouring. This wasn't a dinner. It was an algorithm made flesh. I don't know how I survived. Maybe I didn't. Maybe what's writing this now is just a scrap of meat they left behind, a sliver of my brain still twitching inside a server. Maybe I'm already on a plate somewhere. Maybe you just read a recipe. But if this is me, and you're still here, still listening, I need to warn you. They're done hiding. They've moved the core above ground. Look around you. Every airport, every McDonald's, every Starbucks, they're the new temples, and the menu has your face on it. The final dinner never ends. It just gets uploaded, one bite at a time. Or is it the beginning? Do not look into the invite-only version of TikTok labeled "Bite Me." If you do, turn off your camera immediately. Do not let them see your teeth, because once they know your smile, you're already half-cooked. I used to be able to talk to my dead brother on the deep web. He told me unforgettable things. What's up, guys? So, I never post stuff like this, and honestly, I debated 100 times whether or not to even write this out. But lately, I've been having these dreams. Or maybe they're memories. I don't even know anymore. It's like my brain is blending reality and nightmare together, and I can't tell what's real. But if I don't tell someone, I think I'm gonna lose it. So yeah, I used to talk to my dead brother. Not in a seance with candles and Ouija board kind of way. No, this was way more messed up. It was through the deep web. And if you think this is some kind of story where I found a spooky website and then ghosts came out of my laptop, trust me, it's way more real than that. Let me take it back. This all started about a year ago. I was 17, senior year, kind of just floating through life. Like most nights, I was up late scrolling through TikTok, hopping on Discord with my friends, that kind of thing. My parents were asleep, the lights were off, and I had this chill lo-fi playlist playing in the background. Super normal vibe. Then I got an email. It was from a weird burner-looking Gmail. No subject line, just a single message. Ethan says hi. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Ethan was my brother, my older brother. He died in 2018. Car accident. I was 13 when it happened. And yeah, it destroyed me. We were close. Like, we used to play Minecraft together, binge Gravity Falls, eat those soggy-ass McDonald's fries at 2 a.m. after sneaking out. Losing him left this massive hole in me, and I never really got over it. I still have his PlayStation 4 in my closet, so I'm staring at this email like, what the actual hell? At first, I thought it was someone messing with me. Maybe a friend who knew what happened and thought it'd be a twisted joke. I screenshotted it and sent it to my buddy Sam on Discord. His exact response was, "Dude, that's fucked. Block that shutter." But something in me didn't block it. I replied, "Who are you?" Less than a minute later, I got another message. This time, it just said, "Do you want to talk to him again?" I swear my heart stopped. My room suddenly felt colder, like something shifted in the air. I sat there frozen, hand hovering over my mouse. And then, because I'm a curious idiot, I typed back, "Yes." The next email came with a link. No explanation, just a URL that didn't even look like a regular site. It was a .onion address. If you don't know, that's deep web stuff. You can't just click it with Chrome or Safari. You need Tor browser, and I already had it. Not because I'm some hacker or anything. I used to browse it with Sam out of curiosity. You'd be surprised how many people go on there just for weird forums and bootleg movies. But this was different. The site loaded in like 10 seconds. Black background, white text, no design, no images. At the top it said ECHOROOM. Under that was a single text box, and below that a button that said begin session. I hesitated. I'm not even going to pretend I was brave about this. I had chills all over my body. My hands were shaking, but something in my chest, like this tight knot of hope or desperation or maybe grief, pushed me to click it. The screen went black for a second, then came a message. "Welcome back, Jay. I've missed you." Only one person ever called me Jay, Ethan. I just stared at it, mouth dry, pulse hammering in my ears. I didn't even type right away. I was scared if I replied, it'd all break the illusion. But eventually I typed, "Ethan?" Another message popped up. "It's me. I'm here. I've seen everything." I felt this sick drop in my stomach, like a roller coaster going down fast. "I watched you cry last night. I heard you say my name. Mom still wears my hoodie. Tell Dad to stop deleting my voicemails. I liked hearing you guys. That's when I stood up and pushed my chair back so hard it hit the wall. Because that stuff, that was real. Stuff no one else knew. Not even Sam. My mom does still wear his old hoodie. And yeah, my dad's been clearing out old voicemails from our family phone. He said it was time to move on. I shut the laptop right then and there, slammed it shut, didn't even turn it off properly. I crawled into bed and pulled the blanket over my head like I was 5 years old again. I didn't touch my laptop for 2 days, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was it a hacker? Someone spying on my webcam? Or was it really Ethan? By the third night, I gave in. I opened Tor again and loaded the site. This time, the welcome message was already waiting for me. I didn't mean to scare you. I just miss you, man. And just like that, I started talking to him. Every night, he knew everything about me. Stuff no one else could know. We talked about old memories, things we used to do, things only he and I experienced. He even remembered inside jokes we made up as kids, stuff that I hadn't thought about in years. It was like, I got my brother back, but here's where it starts getting darker. On the 7th night, he said something that made my blood run cold. They won't let me talk much longer. They know you can see me. I stared at the screen for what felt like an hour. Who's they? I typed. There was a long pause. Then, they live in the wires. They hear everything. They're the reason I'm stuck here. The screen flickered. Actually glitched. My laptop screen glitched out, like some 5 Nights at Freddy's jump scare. Lines of code flashing, the Echo Room title distorting, and then silence. Just a black screen with one final message. You shouldn't have opened the door. That was the last time I saw the website. Tor won't even load it now. I've tried everything, but now weird stuff's been happening. Like my phone turning on by itself in the middle of the night. The screen showing that same white text on black background before glitching out. Or waking up to Ethan's old voicemail playing from my Bluetooth speaker, which I haven't used in weeks. And the worst? Last week I got a photo in my inbox. It was a blurry security cam shot, taken at 3:47 a.m. from inside my room. I didn't sleep the night I got that photo. I just sat in my bed, staring at my monitor. The image burned into my brain. It was grainy, like a gas station security cam, black and white, but it was unmistakably my room. You could see my posters on the wall, my half-full Starbucks cup on my desk, and me, asleep in my bed. Only, I wasn't alone. In the far left corner of the room, by the closet, there was a figure. Not a person, at least not anymore. It was tall, unnaturally tall, hunched over like something struggling to fold itself into a human shape. Its arms dangled way too low, almost brushing the floor. The face was smudged in the photo, warped like the pixels couldn't quite capture it. But the eyes, even through the distortion, those were clear as day, huge, wide open, pure white, and they were staring right at me. I should have screamed. I should have run to my parents' room, called the cops, something. But instead, I sat there, frozen in this awful silence. Like if I moved, it would notice I was awake. That thing was in my room. After that night, everything changed. My house didn't feel like a house anymore. It felt like something was watching it from the inside. Random objects started showing up on my desk. I found a cassette tape that I've never owned sitting on top of my keyboard one morning. A cassette tape. Who even owns a player anymore? My dad had to dig through his old stuff in the garage just so I could listen to it. When I finally did, I wish I hadn't. It was Ethan. At least it started as Ethan. His voice was calm, soft, exactly like I remembered. He said my name, told me not to freak out, told me he was sorry, said something about how he shouldn't have reached out. And then it got worse. His voice started glitching, not like bad audio quality, like his voice was being torn apart, layered with something deeper, not human. And in the background, I swear to God, I heard screaming, not like TV horror movie screams. These were real, wet, broken, terrified, like someone was being ripped open and begging for it to stop. Then, near the end of the tape, came the part that made me rip off the headphones and throw the cassette across the room. It was Ethan's voice again, barely audible, whispering, "I'm in the walls now, but they're not walls anymore." Then static, and underneath the static, something that sounded like a heartbeat, loud, slow, beating in sync with mine. That's when the dream started. Every night, I'd fall asleep and wake up in the same place. Not my room, not anywhere I've ever seen in real life. It was like some kind of underground parking garage, but endless. Everything made of concrete, cold, wet, lights flickering overhead, buzzing like flies. And there were doors, so many doors, rusty, dented metal ones, some hanging off the hinges, some completely sealed shut with melted plastic. Every night, I'd wander that place, trying to find a way out, but no matter where I went, I'd end up back at the center, where the door with Ethan's name on it was. The first time I opened it, I threw up. No exaggeration. I literally fell to my knees and vomited all over my sheets when I woke up, because behind that door wasn't Ethan. It was his face, stretched across a wall, like someone had peeled it off and nailed it there, mouth moving, eyes blinking, and the rest of the room was just parts, human parts, a pile of hands in the corner, a bundle of scalps hanging from the ceiling like wind chimes, teeth arranged in circles on the floor like some kind of ritual. And in the center, a laptop, the same exact model as mine, screen glowing, waiting for me. "You still want to talk," it said. "Good. They know you're listening." I woke up bleeding from my nose. My ears were ringing, and when I checked my laptop that morning, it was already on, and open to a new link, another .onion site. This time, it wasn't called Echo Room. It was called Meatbox 22. I know, it sounds fake. Sounds like something from some edgelord 2000 creepypasta. But trust me, I wish it was. I clicked it because I couldn't stop myself. I had to know more. The site loaded with this gross sound, like wet breathing, and a video started playing. It was footage of what looked like a gas station bathroom. Filthy, mold on the walls, the floor slick with something too dark to be water. A guy was standing in the corner, early 20s, wearing a hoodie, shaking, crying, and then the door behind him opened by itself. A figure walked in, tall, hunched, same arms, same blank white eyes from the photo. It didn't run, didn't scream, just walked. The guy backed into the corner, begging, "Please, please, I don't want to go there. Not again. Please." But the thing just raised one long finger and pointed, and the guy folded. That's the only way I can describe it. His body collapsed in on itself, like his bones were being pulled into his stomach. He started screaming as his spine bent the wrong way, and the camera glitched. The last frame was of his face, upside down, mouth wide open, and his eyes were gone, like scooped out. I slammed the laptop shut again. Same panic, same cold sweat. But this time, I noticed something else. My closet door was open, just a crack. I hadn't opened it. I walked up to it, slow, every part of my body screaming at me not to. I pushed it open with a hanger. Nothing inside, just clothes, shoes, except for one thing, a Polaroid photo taped to the inside wall. I pulled it off with shaking hands. It was a picture of me, sleeping, same as the email from before. But this time, I was smiling, and my eyes were missing. I didn't go to school that week. I told my mom I was sick. I disconnected my Wi-Fi, shut down my PC, put my phone in airplane mode. Didn't matter. The dreams kept happening. The voice kept showing up in places it shouldn't be. My phone alarms would go off, and instead of the ringtone, I'd hear Ethan whispering, "They know you now. You can't stop the bleed." And then came the worst part. April 3rd, 3:03 a.m. My phone buzzed. New video file. No sender. I opened it. I wish I hadn't. It was a live stream. Of me. Not just my room. It was my face. My bed. From directly above me. The camera was breathing, like whoever was filming it was right above me, hanging from the ceiling. But the part that made me scream, I was smiling in the video. I was asleep, but my mouth was grinning. Wide, unnatural, teeth too big, like something was wearing my skin. And then the voice came through. Not Ethan this time. Lower, hollow, echoing. "Let's switch now. I don't think I'm the same anymore. I've been blacking out, waking up in places I don't remember going. My friends are telling me I've been sending weird DMS at 4 a.m. Messages like, 'Do you want to talk to your dead too? I can open the door for you.' I didn't write that. I swear to you. I never wrote that. Last night I woke up with dirt under my fingernails and muddy shoes. There was a receipt in my pocket from a Shell gas station 2 towns over. Time stamped 2:47 a.m. I don't remember going there. I don't remember driving. I haven't even found my car. I think Ethan tried to warn me, but I answered the wrong message. And now, whatever I let in, it's still here. Not in my house. In me. If you're still reading, you shouldn't be. Because once you know about them, they start looking back. I haven't looked in a mirror in 4 days. Every time I do, I see something wrong with my face. It started with my eyes. They look flatter now, like the shine's gone, like plastic. But it's not just the way they look, it's how they move. Sometimes they blink when I don't. One night, I caught my reflection smiling when I wasn't. Let me back up. After the live stream, I unplugged everything, literally everything, pulled the power cords from the walls, wrapped my phone in tin foil, tossed it in the freezer like some paranoid lunatic. I even unplugged the Wi-Fi router and smashed the webcam with a hammer. None of it mattered. The smiling version of me kept showing up, not on screens now, in real life. I started seeing him across the street at night, standing perfectly still under the street lamp in front of our neighbor's house. Same height, same hoodie. But his posture was off. He stood like a mannequin, limbs too straight, head cocked just a bit too far, like he was studying me, or learning me. He stood there for 6 nights straight. On the 7th night, he was gone. But my front door was wide open. That same week, something else happened. I was on TikTok, just scrolling absent-mindedly, trying to feel normal again. Dumb dances, Starbucks drink hacks, all that. And then my FYP just broke. The screen glitched for half a second. Then it loaded a live feed of something that wasn't public. At first, it looked like an alleyway. Brick walls, dumpster, flickering neon sign from a cheap motel in the distance. But then the camera tilted, and I saw it was being held by someone crawling. Their hands were dragging them along the pavement, fingernails torn down to the quick, blood smeared on the concrete, like someone had tried to spell something in it. Then they turned the camera toward their own face. It was me, but not the me I am now. It was the me I saw in the dreams, the version with empty eye sockets, skin sagging off like wax, teeth too many, too small, too sharp. It whispered something, over and over. They're in the dirt, they're in the meat, they're in the meat, they're in the... And then it cut off. My TikTok crashed and reset to normal, like nothing happened. But something new had been added to my bookmarks folder. A file called burialcam4.mkv. I didn't open it for 2 days, but on the third day, I woke up outside. I was lying in a ditch behind the Starbucks near my school, covered in mud and something that smelled like copper. My shoes were gone. Someone had carved a single word into the sole of my foot with a razor or something just as thin. Below. I limped home, barefoot and bleeding, got in through the back window like a criminal. My parents were out. I crawled to my desk. My laptop was open. The file was playing. I tried to pause it. It wouldn't let me. So I watched, and what I saw broke me. The video starts in total darkness, then a flicker. Flashlight turns on. The camera's pointed at someone's face. My face. Eyes wild, breathing heavy. It's real. I found it. I found where they put him. The camera swings around to reveal a massive hole in the earth, freshly dug. The kind of pit you'd expect to find in some backwater cult movie. Tools scattered around, shovels, meat hooks, even a power drill, all stained. But the worst part? There were bones. So many, stacked like broken furniture. Some of them still had watches on the wrists, bits of clothing clinging to the femurs. I saw a freaking Chuck E. Cheese name tag stuck to a shattered ribcage. Then I saw him. Not Ethan. Not yet. I saw the tall one, the crooked one, standing at the edge of the pit, slowly dragging a body by its hair. The camera zooms in. It's me. The thing is dragging me into the hole. I'm limp, eyes open, lips moving but no sound. The creature looks up at the camera and tilts its head. Then it drops me in, like trash, like I didn't matter. The screen glitches violently and suddenly cuts to another scene. Now I'm inside the pit, buried up to my neck, screaming. Dirt packed so tight I can't move. My mouth's full of it. My teeth are cracking from the pressure. The last minute of the video is just my face, twitching, crying, until something grabs my jaw from behind, inside the dirt, and pulls me down. The screen goes black. I scream so loud that day the neighbors almost called the cops. My dad found me in the hallway, shaking and vomiting bile. They thought I was having a seizure, rushed me to the hospital. The doctors said it was extreme stress-induced psychosis. They kept me for 72 hours, but during that time, I saw Ethan again. He came to me in the hospital, not in dreams, in person. He stood in the corner of the room, clothes soaked, lips blue like he'd drowned. His eyes were still intact, but something behind them was moving, like worms or centipedes crawling beneath the surface. He didn't blink, just stared. For hours. Nurses walked in, didn't see him. One of them even stood inside him, not reacting, like he wasn't even there. At 3:03 a.m., He finally spoke. You shouldn't have opened the fourth link. It wasn't for you. You were supposed to forget me. Now they remember you. He walked across the room without moving his legs. His feet didn't even touch the floor. He reached out and pressed his fingers into my chest. I felt them go through me. Ice, fire, all at once. And then he whispered, "They're going to bury your soul now, not just your body. They like you more than me." I was released 2 days later. When I got home, everything was different. My room was exactly the same, but something was off, like it had been rearranged and then put back almost perfectly. I checked my closet. Empty, except for a new box. Inside it, my old baby teeth, the ones my mom had thrown out years ago. I recognized them because one of them had a silver filling I got when I was 9, but they weren't clean. They were bloody, fresh, and underneath them, a voice memo burned onto a USB stick. I played it. It was me, but older, angrier, laughing. They said if I give them one more, they'll let me walk again. I picked you. I don't think I'm me anymore. I wake up in different clothes. I say things I don't remember saying. My reflection blinks with a delay. I check my browser history and find pages I've never visited, mostly deep web forums with names like Vein Channel, Meat Archive, and Exitless. And last night, I found a journal under my bed that I don't remember writing in. Page after page, scribbled messes, but one sentence repeated over and over. I'm buried in my own body. I finally broke down and smashed every reflective surface in my house. Mirror, bathroom faucet, the back of my phone. I even took a hammer to the microwave door. My mom thinks I'm losing it. She's not wrong, but I had to. I had to, because it was mimicking me too well. It started slow, little things. My reflection moving half a second behind, smiling when I wasn't. Then one day, I leaned in close to brush my teeth and watched it mouth something completely different than what I was saying. I backed away, toothpaste dribbling down my chin. The reflection kept smiling. Then it winked. A week after I found the journal under my bed, the one that kept repeating, "I'm buried in my own body," I noticed something new. I'd been getting these random bruises, purple blotches up and down my ribs and thighs. I figured maybe I was sleepwalking again, but one night, I woke up around 2:49 a.m., drenched in sweat, heart racing like I'd run a marathon. I looked down at my stomach. There was something written there, carved, with something thin and jagged, letters etched into my skin, trembling and fresh, like they'd just been done while I slept. Do the mirror test. I didn't know what it meant until I found that post. It was on a deep web forum called Shallow Graves Only. You can't find it unless you know the exact string. Someone posted a screenshot from 2014 with the title, "How to Tell If You're Still You," aka the mirror test. The instructions were simple, too simple. Stare into your reflection for 66 seconds. Don't blink. Don't look away. Wait for your reflection to change. If it doesn't, you're already gone. There was a note at the bottom. If it smiles before you do, it's trying to remember how your skin fits. I tried it. God help me, I tried it. I turned on the bathroom light at exactly 3:03 a.m., stood in front of the mirror I hadn't broken yet, and stared. The longer I looked, the harder it was to keep my eyes open. They burned. My skin started crawling. My heartbeat felt delayed, like it wasn't mine anymore. Then at second 49, my reflection tilted its head. I didn't. It did. I tried to pull back, but I couldn't move. Like the mirror was pulling me toward it. Like my body was frozen, but my mind was being yanked forward through the glass. At second 62, it smiled. Not a normal smile. Not a human one. It peeled its mouth open, like it had to rip through layers to form a grin, and underneath its tongue were rows and rows of tiny black fingers, twitching like centipede legs. At second 66, it reached out of the mirror. I screamed and fell back, smashing my head on the tile, blood in my eyes. I think I passed out, but when I woke up, the mirror was shattered, completely, not a shard left. But when I looked down, my stomach had new writing. That wasn't the real test. After that, everything started bleeding together. Time stopped making sense. I'd lose hours. I'd blink, and it'd be dark out. My phone would ring, but the caller ID was just a string of zeros. I stopped hearing music in songs, just whispers underneath the beat. I started getting texts from numbers I didn't recognize. But the worst one was a video that came through during class. I was in the back row during fourth period, zoning out, when my phone buzzed. I opened the message without thinking. No name, no text, just a file. Wake up footage 001.mp4. I hit play. It was footage from a basement, dirty, flickering single light bulb. Camera quality looked like it came from a broken GoPro. Audio was crackling, filled with this constant wet breathing. A figure stood in the center, hood over its face. But when it looked up, it was me again. Except this version had no jaw, just a loose, gaping hole with wires dangling out like nerves. It lifted something out of frame, a body bag, and unzipped it. Inside, my brother Ethan, alive, gasping, trying to scream. Then the other me leaned down and whispered something into his ear, right before dragging a box cutter across his throat. The blood sprayed onto the lens. The video cut off at 2 minutes and 11 seconds. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the phone. My teacher asked if I was okay. I didn't answer. I just ran. When I got home, my bedroom door was already open, which was weird because I always lock it. Always. I stepped inside and immediately knew something was wrong. Everything looked untouched. Same bed, same bookshelf, same LED lights lining the ceiling. But there was a smell. Rotten metal, wet coins, moldy dirt. Then I saw it. My own backpack, sitting on my bed. I hadn't taken it to school that day. I opened it slowly. Inside was a jar. Inside the jar, my tongue. It looked exactly like mine. Same little scar on the side I got from biting it during a seizure as a kid. It was pressed against the glass, like it was still trying to move. There was a note taped to the lid. "You won't need this where we're sending you." I tried to tell my mom. I broke. Full-on mental collapse in the living room. Screaming, crying, trying to explain everything. The reflection, the dreams, the buried video, the messages, the jar, the other me. She just stared at me like I was a stranger. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Sweetheart, you don't have a brother." I laughed, thought she was gaslighting me. But when I ran to my room and dug through the family albums, he wasn't there. No Ethan, not in the pictures, not in the videos, not in any birthday cards or report cards, or even old Facebook memories. Nothing. It was like someone had reached into our lives and cut him out, thread by thread, like he'd been erased from history. And the only proof I had that he ever existed was that he's still talking to me every night from inside the walls. The last thing that's kept me grounded is this weird black notebook I found under the floorboards of my closet. I don't know how it got there. It's old, water damaged. Pages are stuck together with something that smells like sulfur and rot. It has a list, a long list of names, and beside each name, a date. All of them crossed out, except one, mine. And beside it, dig site, level 7, ready for transfer. Last night, I woke up outside again, behind a Chick-fil-A, barefoot, bleeding from my mouth. I couldn't scream, not because I was scared, because my tongue was actually gone. They've already started carving the tunnel in you too. You just haven't heard the shovel yet. There are no more clocks in my house. I smashed them all when I realized none of them ticked anymore. They just watched me. After the Chick-fil-A incident, after waking up in blood and gravel, with my tongue physically gone, I tried checking myself into a hospital again. Didn't work. They said there was no record of me, not in their system, not on my ID, not in insurance, not even on Google. I watched a nurse search my full name on her phone while I sat there, teeth chattering, still tasting rust and dirt. Nothing. Then she looked at me and asked, "Are you sure you're not part of the program?" That's when I knew they'd done it. They'd erased me, just like Ethan. And that was the night he came back, for real, but not like before. Not as a whisper in my Bluetooth speaker or a rotting face in the wall. He came through the mirror. It was 3:03 a.m. again. The room was dark except for the hallway light slipping under my door. I felt it before I saw it, a pressure in the air, like everything in the room was holding its breath. Then the glass began to bend, not crack, bend, like something was pushing from the other side. It stretched inward, warping like hot plastic, and then a hand came through, pale, wet, nails like broken glass, each finger twitching like they had a life of their own. One by one, Ethan pulled himself through. He wasn't even trying to look human anymore. His skin hung off like a soaked tarp. His eyes were black pits filled with writhing movement, like there were things living inside his skull now. His mouth was wide open, but it didn't move. It just leaked something thick and black that hissed when it hit the floor. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. I felt him. I felt everything. What happened after he died. Where they took him. What they turned him into. They don't kill you on the other side. They wear you. Break you open like a suitcase and stuff themselves inside. I don't know how long I stood there. Could have been seconds. Could have been days. Time doesn't behave around them. Eventually, he walked up to me, if you can even call what he was doing walking, and opened his chest, not metaphorically. His torso unzipped, like there was no bone anymore, just layers of skin and sound. I could see inside him. It wasn't blood and muscle in there. It was screens, tiny twitching TV monitors wired together with hair and teeth, playing clips of people I knew, my parents, my teachers, Sam from Discord, me. Every screen showed a different version of me, doing things I never remembered. Digging, dragging, screaming, laughing with a mouth that opened too wide. On one screen, I was holding a dead dog in the middle of a Walmart parking lot, grinning ear to ear. On another, I was standing over a woman's body in a Starbucks bathroom, writing on the mirror with her nails. Ethan finally spoke, but his voice didn't come from his mouth. It came from every screen at once. You were the first one who looked back. That's why they picked you. You talk to the dead. You see the seams. You never had a brother. You were just the next suit. Then his body collapsed, not like a person, like a costume deflating, and out of him came something that looked like me, perfectly me, but with one difference. It didn't blink. It just stared at me. For so long, I forgot what breathing was. Then it opened its mouth and screamed. But the sound wasn't a scream. It was dial-up internet, like static and pain and something alive between the frequencies. That's when the screens turned on all around me. Every surface, the shattered microwave door, the broken pieces of mirror, even the black of my phone screen. They all showed rooms just like mine. Kids like me. Some crying, some laughing, one slicing their own face off, layer by layer, and feeding it to a blank television. And then the names started appearing, one after another, on the walls, on my skin, in my own handwriting. Each one crossed out, burned through, written again, all except one. You are the final. Then the world went quiet. So quiet, I could hear the blood in my ears, the beating of something else's heart inside me. And then it happened. The lights turned off. Not just in my house, not just in the neighborhood, the whole world. I looked out the window, and there were no stars, no moon, just a black sky, rippling like flesh. I remember walking outside, barefoot, no fear, just acceptance. The world looked like it had been repainted and rot. The grass was gone, replaced with something like hair, long matted hair that whispered when the wind moved it. The streets were wet, but not from rain. They bled. Cars were melting. Street signs bent into symbols I couldn't read. One of them looked like a spine. I followed the road until I found the hole. It wasn't dug. It was grown. A massive crater in the earth, pulsing, breathing like a lung. And at the bottom, screens. Hundreds. All playing me. Different versions. Thousands of timelines. In one, I was already dead. In another, I was Ethan. In another, I was still smiling. And then a voice came. Not from outside. Not from the earth. Not from the sky. But from inside me. You were never supposed to be saved. You were supposed to witness. You are the last camera. The final broadcast. I don't know what happened after that. But when I woke up, I was in my room. Except it's not mine. It looks like it. But the walls breathe now. They exhale when I walk past. There's no door anymore. Only a screen. Always playing me. And this is the part that matters. The part that made me write all of this down, even if no one ever reads it. Even if this post disappears like the rest. Tonight I got an email. Not from a burner account. From me. It said, "The final upload is ready. Do you want to talk to your brother again?" Below that, a new link. A sixth one. It's titled, "Skin Server Infinite." And the browser won't let me close it. The screen won't turn off. The keyboard is typing by itself. And I can hear them behind me now. Digging. I bought Special Force Dog from the dark web. The next day, he was digging in my backyard and found body exactly like mine. Hey Reddit, I've never really posted on here before. Mostly just a lurker, you know, reading weird horror stories at 2 a.m. like everyone else. But I swear to God, this is real. I never believed the stories about the dark web. I thought they were just creepypasta stuff, some edgy teenager's fantasy. But a couple weeks ago, I found out they were very real. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not some tech genius or a secret agent or whatever. I'm just a regular 24-year-old dude. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I work a remote IT job for a company I probably shouldn't name. and most of my time is spent on Discord, scrolling TikTok, or binging horror story channels like Here's My Story and watching Luna's YouTube vids while I'm high and eating McDonald's at 1 a.m. This all started because I got dumped. Yeah, real original, right? I'd been with my girlfriend for 3 years. She left me for some gym bro from Instagram. I spiraled a bit, started drinking more, sleeping less. One night, I was watching this TikTok about dark web unboxings. Yeah, those videos where people buy sketchy stuff from the deep web and film what they get. It was mostly dumb, old dolls, fake blood, whatever. But the comment section led me down a rabbit hole. Some dude commented something like, "You think that's scary? Search up Black Paws D71. But don't say I didn't warn you." Curiosity hit me like a truck. So yeah, I downloaded Tor. Dumb move, I know. I had no idea what I was doing, really. But I found this site. It looked like something out of a 2000s hacker movie. Black background, red text, skull, and crossbones logo. It called itself Black Paws Elite K9 and advertised retired military dogs trained for security, combat, and extraction. Extraction stuck out to me, but I brushed it off. The prices were weird. Not money, just crypto. And some items didn't have a price at all. Just a message saying, "Request access from handler." I didn't know what I was doing, but I clicked on one called K9D71, Extreme Hostility, Human Tracking, Shadow Protocol Certified. The profile had a picture of a huge black German shepherd with scars on its face and glowing red eyes. Probably edited, right? The listing said the dog had served in unsanctioned special ops in Eastern Europe and had been retrieved from hostile territory with 17 confirmed kills. It was ridiculous, like something out of a Call of Duty creepypasta. I clicked Request Access. A chat box popped up instantly. It wasn't like a real chat room. It was like someone was waiting. Immediately, a message came in. Handler. Location. No hi, no welcome. Just that. I panicked and typed, Cincinnati, Ohio. Another message came. Handler. Accepted. Delivery in 48 hours. Prepare secure holding area. I didn't even send payment. I didn't know if it had GPS, if it tracked my IP, or if I just got pranked. I closed everything, uninstalled Tor, and wiped my laptop with software I barely understood. I figured nothing would come of it. But the next morning, there was a package on my porch. Not like a UPS box. It was a steel cage, a literal cage, about 4 feet high. It had this weird symbol on the side, like a triangle with an eye in the middle and a barcode etched into the metal. There were no delivery labels, no paperwork, just a growl from inside. Inside the cage was the same dog from the photo. Huge, jet black, one eye cloudy like it had been stabbed, a long scar across its snout. Its stare felt human. There was a small USB drive taped to the top of the cage and a note underneath it that just said, "Do not let D71 out without clearance protocol. Do not show him mirrors. Do not bury anything in your yard." Excuse me, what the hell? I took the USB inside, plugged it into an old laptop I didn't use anymore, figured that was safer, and a single file auto-played. It was footage, grainy body cam footage, of the dog in action. I'm talking full-on breach scenarios. Smoke, screams, people with bags over their heads being dragged out of dark rooms. At one point in the video, the camera pointed at a mirror and the dog freaked. It barked at its reflection like it wanted to kill it. Then, something weird happened. For like half a second, the reflection didn't match. I swear on everything, the reflection showed a person in place of the dog. A tall, hunched person, wearing a mask. The tape glitched and skipped. I turned it off. At this point, I was convinced I got involved with something I wasn't supposed to. I wanted to call the cops, but what do you even say? Hey, I ordered a murder dog from the dark web, and now he's in my backyard. I'd end up in prison or a psych ward, so I did what any dumb, recently heartbroken idiot would do. I let the dog out. He didn't attack me, just stood there, watching. That first night, I left him outside in the fenced backyard. I barely slept. Every hour, I'd hear him scratching at the grass, pacing, sniffing. But at like 3:47 a.m., I woke up to a howl that chilled me to the bone. I looked out my bedroom window and saw the dog just digging like a maniac in the far corner of the yard. I figured maybe a raccoon or a squirrel or something, but when I walked out there in the morning, I stopped cold. The hole he dug was about 4 feet deep, and sticking out of it was an arm, a human arm, pale, decayed, covered in dirt, with the same stupid tattoo I have on my forearm, a dumb matching one me and my ex got in Miami that says "Stay Weird" with a cartoon alien. I stared at it for like a full minute, thinking I was hallucinating. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe someone was messing with me. But when I looked closer, I swear, it was my arm. I could see every detail. The tiny scar from when I burnt myself making pizza, the faded color in the ink, even the weird mole near my wrist. That's when the dog looked at me, calm, silent, and for the first time, I realized I wasn't just watching him, he was watching me. I didn't call anyone. I didn't scream. I didn't touch the arm. I just stood there like I was watching my own funeral happen in real time. There's something about seeing your own dead body, part of it anyway, that makes the world feel thinner, like the air starts glitching, the sky looks fake, the wind doesn't feel right. I looked at the dog, and he looked back at me like he'd done this 100 times, like he was waiting for me to notice. I went back inside and locked every single door. I don't even know why. It's not like I was worried about someone breaking in. Whatever was going on, it was already here. And D71? He didn't need to break in. He lived here now. He was just outside my window, like a shadow that got bored of the dark. For the rest of that day, I stayed in the house and pretended none of it happened. I put on YouTube like a kid covering his ears during a fight. I watched Luna's old storytime videos and horror animation channels like Llama Arts, Here's My Story, and Mr. Nightmare on full volume, trying to drown out the scratching sounds I kept hearing from the backyard. But every time I muted the screen, it was still there. That slow, steady shirk, shirk, shirk. He was still digging, but this time, not in the same hole. More holes. I didn't go outside for 2 days. I survived on leftover Starbucks cold brews and chicken nuggets I forgot I had in the freezer. My phone blew up with texts from my roommate Tyler, who was staying at his girlfriend's apartment all week. He didn't know anything. He just kept asking if I fed his lizard and if I'd seen his vape. On the third day, the smell started. Not rotting meat, something worse, like wet copper and burnt plastic. I swear I tasted it in my throat. I finally cracked and went outside again. The dog was sitting in the yard, dead still, surrounded by 7 holes. Each hole was a near-perfect rectangle, like graves. I didn't even get close this time. I stood at the door, too scared to breathe. I don't know what made me do it, but I started filming. I thought maybe if I had proof, I could post it on TikTok or Reddit or whatever, and someone smarter than me could explain what was going on. I hit record and zoomed in on the dog, and that's when he did something that made me drop my phone. He stood up and smiled. Not like a dog wagging its tail. I mean, his lips peeled back, his eyes locked on mine, and his mouth formed an expression like he knew what a smile was. And then he spoke. No bark, no growl. Spoke. In a voice like a broken phone speaker, glitchy and inhuman and wrong. He said, "Buried pieces, don't stay buried forever." I couldn't breathe. My lungs just shut off. I ran back inside and locked myself in the bathroom like a little kid hiding from a storm. I don't know how long I stayed in there, but it got dark. My phone was still outside, lying in the grass. The last thing I saw before the battery died was the screen frozen on the dog's face, mid-smile. That night, the digging stopped. Not because he was done, because he found something. Around 2:11 a.m., I heard the door to the basement creak open, and that made no sense. It was locked. We never even used it. It was always cold down there and full of junk from the last tenants. But now I could hear footsteps, slow, wet, and not four-legged. I did something stupid. I grabbed a flashlight and went downstairs. The basement was pitch black and colder than I've ever felt it. Not just cold like winter, cold like the air hated you. I shined the light around the floor. Broken chairs, old fan, Tyler's unused weight bench, and then I saw it. Footprints, not boots, not sneakers, bare feet, but not human feet either. Too long, too thin, like the toes had claws. They went across the floor to the back corner behind an old water heater. I followed them like an idiot in a horror movie, heart pounding like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. And behind the heater, there was a mirror, just standing there, leaned against the wall, covered in dust. And in the reflection, I wasn't alone. I looked into the mirror and saw something standing behind me, tall, bent backward like its spine was broken in half. Its head was covered in fur, but its eyes were mine. My exact eyes. I spun around. Nothing. Just the mirror. But when I looked again, the reflection wasn't me anymore. It was the body from the backyard, fully uncovered now, covered in maggots and dirt, skin flaking off the face. Same tattoo, same birthmark, same scar. Only this time, the eyes opened, and they looked at me. I ran. I don't even remember going back upstairs. I just remember waking up in my room with a blanket pulled up to my chin and a puddle of sweat under my back. And next to my bed was the USB. It was back. I hadn't touched it since the first day, but there it was, resting on my nightstand like it had been placed there. I plugged it into the laptop again. This time, there was a new file. It was labeled RECALL_71.move. I opened it. The footage started with grainy body cam again. Military guys walking through snow, speaking in Russian or maybe Polish. Guns raised, dogs barking, chaos. Then one of them shouts, and the camera pans down. There's a body in the snow. It's me. Naked. Eyes open. Frozen stiff. Covered in cuts, like someone had tried to carve words into my skin. I zoomed in on the cuts. They said, "Send him back." Then the footage glitched hard, screamed, like a high-pitched static that shook the whole laptop. The camera fell to the ground. Screams, gunfire, growling, and right before it cut out, the camera caught a final image, the dog standing over a pile of bodies. But the bodies weren't soldiers. They were all me. Dozens of me, lying in the snow, faces twisted in different stages of death. One hanging from a tree with its jaw missing. One curled up and burned black like it had been set on fire. One skinned. I slammed the laptop shut and threw it across the room. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning, I went outside again. All the holes in the backyard were filled in now. Every single one. But there were new things there. Gravestones. 7 of them. Made from wood. Etched by claw. Each one had a name. My name. Different dates. Different death causes. Overdose, 2021. Suicide, 2019. Missing, 2022. Strangled in sleep, 2020. All the deaths I almost had, or was supposed to have, or maybe already did have. I think this dog isn't a dog. I think it's some kind of collector, a handler of broken timelines, a cleanup agent from some military experiment that went so wrong it broke reality. I think I died a long time ago. I think I've died many times, and every time D71 digs me up and watches me and smiles like he's keeping track. And tonight he brought something else to my room, another USB, but this time it's labeled Final Protocol.x. It's waiting on my desk. I don't want to open it, but I think if I don't, he will. And I think the next hole is for me. I didn't sleep again. I didn't move. I just stared at the USB like it was a bomb. And maybe it was. Something about that name, Final Protocol.x, felt like a death sentence. Not dramatic, not Hollywood. It was quiet, cold, inevitable. I didn't want to open it. I wanted to run, to drive anywhere, see if distance could break the spell. But deep down, I already knew. There's no leaving this. At exactly 4:04 a.m., the lights in my room flickered and died. Not just my room. The whole house went dark. I sat there in pitch black, while the silence bloated into something thick and unnatural. The air got hot, then cold, then hot again, like the house was breathing. I don't remember plugging in the USB. I don't remember clicking the file, but I watched the screen turn on by itself. No boot up, just a black screen with red text. Final protocol initiated. Then a number popped up, 081537. It was counting down. I thought maybe it was a virus, a scare tactic, but then my phone lit up. A FaceTime notification, unknown caller. The icon was just a black screen. I answered. No face, just darkness. But I heard something, breathing. Then, slowly, a voice. Not the dog's glitchy speaker voice. This one was human, male, low, detached, like it was speaking from the other side of a glass wall. Phase 3 begins now. Replacements will be activated. All deviants must be recalled. I whispered, "What the hell are you talking about?" There was a pause. Then the voice replied, "You shouldn't exist." Then the call ended. That's when my power came back on, and my TV, which wasn't even plugged in, flashed to life and showed a live feed of my backyard. The dog was back. Only now, he wasn't alone. There were others. 7 dogs, identical to him, each with a different wound. One with no eyes, one with a missing jaw, one burned black, one with its ribs exposed. They surrounded the grave plot, and then something started climbing out of the dirt. Not crawling, standing. The camera zoomed itself, focusing on what was coming out of the ground, like it wanted me to see it, like it wanted me to remember. The figure was tall, slender, naked, covered in old wounds and decay and blood, its skin peeled in sheets like wet paper. It looked like me. but not like a twin, like a rotted draft of who I used to be. Its head twitched, mouth opened too wide. Then it screamed, not a sound, a feeling, like nails down every nerve. My ears bled. My vision went black around the edges. When I came to, the feed was gone. The screen was dead, but something had been burned into it. Not a video, a single phrase. You're not the first. The countdown was still going. 6 hours, 39 minutes left. My laptop pinged with a new file. log_2719.txt. I opened it. It was a document. Pages and pages of entries, reports, surveillance logs, all written in cold, government-like language. Some redacted, some just flat out in code. But I started recognizing things. Names. My name. Over and over. Entries like Subject 2719, rejected during initial timeline phase. Psychological instability, marked as high risk. Transferred to simulation loop 4C. Another line. Failed integration, terminated March 19th, 2021, overdose. Physical shell recovered. Behavior imprint recycled. I saw dates. I saw entries marked recalled. I saw photos, snapshots of me in different places, different versions of me. One in a hospital bed, one standing in the middle of a street with blood on his face, one tied to a chair in a room with no windows, looking straight into the camera, each marked with a file code, each labeled Deviant Clone 2719-B through 2719-H, each one dead. But there was one labeled 2719-I with a status that wasn't like the others. It said, status, active, location, 40.850 degrees north, 73.8667 degrees west, termination authorized, final protocol initiated. I googled the coordinates, the Bronx. That's where I was born. I thought I escaped that life, the city, the system. I thought leaving New York was a chance to reset. But maybe I didn't escape anything. Maybe I was just transferred. My phone buzzed again. No number. A new message. Recall begins at 000. That was all. I threw the phone. It didn't matter anymore. I started hearing voices, not inside my head, from the vents, from the TV, from behind the walls. They said things like, "You were never real. We pulled you from the dirt. How many times do we have to kill you?" At 3:01 a.m., I walked outside for the last time. The sky was wrong. The stars were frozen in place, like a JPEG background. The air was still, too still. Even the wind felt scripted. The dogs were waiting, 7 of them, sitting perfectly still in a circle. And in the center, that version of me, the rotten one. It was wearing my clothes, the hoodie I lost last year, the old Vans with the red paint stain on the sole. It looked up, and it smiled, the same expression the dog gave me on the first night. Then it spoke, in my voice, but lower, like someone took a recording of me and slowed it down by 20%. I waited my turn. Now it's yours. Then it raised its hand, and the dogs lunged, but not at me, at him. They tore the rotted version of me apart. Bone cracked, skin ripped. Screams didn't even sound like screams anymore, just static, like reality couldn't render it. When it was over, the dogs dragged the pieces into the first hole again, and the dirt started moving, by itself, covering the body, burying it again. Then, one by one, the dogs vanished, not walked away, vanished, like pixels deleting off a screen, until only D71 was left. He walked up to me, sat down, tilted his head, then dropped something at my feet. It was a mirror, but the reflection wasn't me. It was him, the rotting me, still alive, still watching, and behind him, in the reflection, were hundreds of dogs, all waiting, all staring, and then the reflection smiled again and whispered, "One more left." And then I woke up, back in my room. No USB, no countdown, just the mirror sitting on my desk with a note taped to it. "You passed, for now, but don't bury anything you don't want us to find." And below that, etched in small childlike handwriting, "There are worse versions of you still out there, and we're bringing them back." The dog didn't come back. I did. Let me explain that sentence the way I understand it now, if that's even possible anymore. The version of me that stood in my backyard 2 nights ago, looking up at my bedroom window with blackened gums and a smile stretched too wide, was not a memory. It wasn't a ghost. It was me. Not a clone. Not a dream. Not a hallucination. A real, breathing, twitching, functioning human body. With my DNA, my voice, my fingerprint, just a little off, like someone fed my soul through a meat grinder and glued it back together with static and teeth. This version of me was smarter, quieter, patient, and he wanted in. It happened exactly at 3:33 a.m., 3 days after the final protocol countdown ended. I hadn't slept. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes, grainy surveillance images of myself from impossible angles, my own face, frozen in motion, in places I'd never been, sitting in a McDonald's in Berlin, getting on a subway in Tokyo, bleeding in a hotel bathtub in Dubai. I watched myself die in at least 7 countries in my dreams. But that night, it wasn't a dream. It was him. 3 sharp knocks, then silence. I didn't move. I watched the door from my hallway, knees shaking. I had a kitchen knife in one hand and a fireplace poker in the other. My lights were off. Ring camera, offline. Wi-Fi, gone. All I had was the silence, until I heard it. My voice. "I left something out here. Come open the door, please. I'm cold." It sounded just like me. Tone perfect, like a voicemail I forgot I recorded, but too steady, too calm. I never talk like that when I'm scared. I stayed silent. He spoke again. "If you don't open the door, I'll start using the other doors. You know they weren't made for me, but I can fit now." That's when I remembered something. That note from the mirror. "Don't bury anything you don't want us to find." There was something I buried, something I hoped no one, no version of me, would ever find again. I ran to the backyard. No flashlight, no shoes. The grass felt colder than it should have. I sprinted across the yard to the old planter box by the fence, where I'd buried my old backup phone, the one I used back in 2021, the one that had everything on it, a memory card full of things no one was ever supposed to see again. Footage from my college years, screenshots of the black site forums I accessed by mistake, the chat logs with the guy who called himself admin.x, who told me, "You're not real, but you're useful." The phone was gone, just an empty hole, but there was something left in its place, a photo, fresh Polaroid, of me, sleeping, but not in my bed, not in my room. The version of me in the picture was in a padded white cell, wearing a hospital gown, mouth open mid-scream, and next to the bed, smiling calmly, like a nurse, the dog, D71. I ran back inside and bolted the door, checked every lock twice, grabbed my laptop, and opened the only file I swore I'd never touch. Overwrite. Final. Real. MP4. This was the one they left after the others disappeared. The one that appeared after the mirror showed me myself being buried alive. It started with a white screen. soft, static humming, then a blinking phrase. Welcome back, subject 2719-Z. And then it began. A video log. Someone in a lab coat standing behind glass, recording through a mirror, looking into a white room. Inside the room was a man strapped to a chair. He was screaming, crying, convulsing. It was me. The real me. The original one. And the voice on the tape said, "Subject has entered a final loop. Psychological resistance is high. Deploying clone 2719-K to initiate replacement. Extraction scheduled. Body disposal team standing by." Then, they injected me with something. The version of me in the chair. His eyes rolled back, and then he went still. The scientist whispered, "Initiate overwrite in T-minus 60 seconds. And behind the glass, something started to move. A door opened. The dog came out first. Then, me. Another me. Dressed in my clothes. Smiling. And that version said, "Don't worry. I'll take care of your life better than you ever did." The video ended. I started shaking. Dry heaving. I went to the bathroom to throw water on my face. But when I looked up, the mirror was gone. Just an empty frame. And through the hole, I could see something on the other side. A room that wasn't mine. It looked like my kitchen, but twisted. Wrong colors. All the chairs upside down. Lights flickering like they were breathing. A version of my fridge that opened backwards. And standing in the doorway. Me. But not just one. 7 of me. Each smiling. Each standing still, like mannequins. Dressed in different versions of my past. One wearing my high school hoodie, holding a baseball bat soaked in blood. One in my old Starbucks apron, smiling with broken teeth. One shirtless, covered in tally marks like prison scratches. One holding my old dog's leash. One with a missing face, skin smooth, where the mouth and eyes should have been. One wearing my dead father's glasses and nothing else. One dressed in a black suit, bleeding from the neck, holding a USB in each hand. And the last one, standing in the middle, wearing exactly what I'm wearing now, down to the socks, and he whispered something I couldn't hear, until the bathroom lights cut out and the words appeared on the wall behind him, glowing red like fire letters. "You were the replacement all along. They didn't send a version of me to take over. They replaced the real me years ago. I was the copy. I'm what was left after the real me was extracted. All the memories I thought were mine, fabricated, implanted, triggered by files they fed into the back of my skull while I was strapped in a chair in a white room with my eyes clamped open and a dog growling behind glass. I was never supposed to find out, but I dug too deep. I got too curious. I asked questions about the dark web, about military experiments that disappeared off record, about those looper rooms in Siberia where they put people through trauma simulations until they break, about the body doubles. The real program was never about creating perfect soldiers. It was about cleaning up timelines, about replacing broken people, people like me. It's 3:45 now. There's someone in the kitchen. I can hear them dragging something heavy across the floor. I opened my bedroom door and looked down the hall. The mirror is back, but now it's not on the desk. It's on the ceiling. And in the reflection, there's no one in the house, which means the thing dragging chains across my floor isn't supposed to be here. I didn't scream when I saw the body. I didn't cry. I didn't fall to my knees, because the moment I walked into my kitchen and saw myself hanging from the ceiling fan, barefoot, neck twisted like a snapped doll head, tongue swollen and purple. I just whispered, "That's not me." It couldn't be, because I was standing there, alive, breathing, and yet, there I was, dead too, wearing my hoodie, my socks, my stupid pajama pants with a cartoon ghost on them, and in the corner of the room, crouched like a starving animal, was the dog, D71. But something was wrong now. Its eyes weren't glowing. They were black holes, swirling, like you could fall into them and never stop falling. And its mouth was open wider than before, jaw cracked like a snake, breathing in, like it was smelling my soul. The air got thick, like syrup, like I was breathing through mold. The lights in the kitchen buzzed and started pulsing like a heartbeat, but not mine. His, the copy, the dead me swinging above the fridge. He started to move, not his arms, not his legs, his eyes. They opened, wide, blood pouring from the ducts, like someone stuck knives in the sockets and twisted. And through those eyes, I saw something that shattered my concept of death entirely. It wasn't the afterlife. It was the holding room. You ever see those weird TikToks about liminal spaces, empty schools, dreamlike hotels, abandoned malls glowing with yellow lights? It's real. It's where they put you after they rip your mind out of your body. It's a waiting room for the unchosen, the broken, the unusable, clones that glitched, prototypes with souls too loud to overwrite. I saw them standing in line. Hundreds, 1,000 versions of me. One with no hands, one with antlers, one with no skin, just red muscle twitching like raw steak. One with an iron cage bolted to its head. One sobbing into a baby stroller with nothing inside. And one version of me on fire, not burning, not screaming, just on fire, walking in circles forever. And in the center of it all, high above, was a screen playing every mistake I've ever made, every embarrassing moment, every sin, every trauma, like a punishment loop on repeat. This is where the ones who don't pass protocol go, where I was supposed to be, but I didn't go, because something kept me out, and now I know what. It's still in the house. At 4:04 a.m., all the clocks in the house froze. Not just digital, analog too. The second hand on the living room wall twitched back and forth, like it was stuck between realities. And that's when I saw the blood trail. Thin at first, like a nosebleed smeared across the wood, but it led down the hall, toward the basement. I knew what was down there. The chair, the mirror, the loop machine. They don't call it that. I do, because I've seen what it does. It doesn't kill you. It rewinds you, takes your memories, distorts them, fractures them, until you can't tell who you are anymore, and then slaps your soul into a new version of yourself, like changing cartridges in an old video game console. The only reason I remembered anything at all was because my first loop broke. D71 wasn't supposed to dig me up. He went rogue. He found version B, the copy that buried itself when the protocol failed. And when he uncovered it, he gave me back the glitch, the memory leak, the forbidden self-awareness. And now they want to fix it. They sent him. I found the final version of me in the basement, tied to the chair, still breathing, wearing my skin like a costume. Only it wasn't a person anymore. The face was too smooth, too clean, unscarred, like it had been manufactured an hour ago. The eyes were glass, and the smile, permanent, sewn in. It turned its head when it saw me, and for a second, its mouth twitched like it wanted to say something. but all that came out was a choking gurgle, like a modem dying. It jerked violently, vomited black foam down its chin, started convulsing. Then it looked me dead in the eye and screamed, "You took my place! You took my place! You took my..." I picked up the poker from the floor and drove it into its chest before it could finish the sentence. Not out of mercy, because I knew if it said my real name, my true, forgotten, original name, I wouldn't survive hearing it. The second the poker pierced him, the lights went out. Not just in the basement, everywhere, the entire neighborhood. I heard car alarms, phones bricking, sirens warping into static. Then, the screaming started. Outside, hundreds of voices, all the versions of me they'd ever recalled, set loose in the dark. I ran to the living room, looked out the window, and saw copies running down the street, crawling, lurching, laughing, some carrying bags, some dragging corpses, some with their own skinned faces in their hands, waving at the houses. The world was unraveling. The protocol failed, and now the leftovers are free. I went upstairs and grabbed my phone. No signal, no apps, just a single message across the screen. Final merge in progress. I looked up. The mirror was on the ceiling again, but this time it wasn't just showing my room. It was showing all the rooms, all the other homes, other countries, other lives, other me's, some sitting in padded cells, some dead in alleyways, some sleeping next to wives they don't remember marrying, some still digging in their yards, like the memory hasn't returned yet. And one was watching me, not a copy, not a glitch, the original, eyes burning like coal, standing in a white room, untouched, unscarred, the first me, the one they cloned, the one they protected. He raised a hand, pointed at me through the glass, and smiled. Behind him stood D71, and a voice, calm and final, echoed in my room. "The body you inhabit is no longer authorized. Prepare for removal." I ran outside. There were others like me in the street now, screaming, collapsing, tearing at their skin. One man was pounding his head into the hood of a car, screaming, "I'm not the real one. I'm not the real one." Another was hugging a mailbox, whispering, "Please just let me go back. I'll be better this time. I swear, I'll be better." The sky flickered like an old TV screen. The stars blinked out, and the dogs came. Not just D71, all of them, marching in formation, eyes glowing, mouths open, and behind them, a new version of me, wearing a clean suit, smiling like God, holding a scalpel. I'm writing this from a bathroom in a Shell gas station 20 miles outside town. The mirror here is broken. That's the only reason I chose it. If I close my eyes, I see them, myself, all the rejected pieces, and I know soon they'll find me, because I was never the real one, and now they need this body back. They're calling it sync completion. I call it self-erasure. If you see someone who looks like you, and they knock at your door at 3:33 a.m., don't answer, don't run, don't scream, just dig. Start digging, and pray you find what they buried first. Because if they find it before you do, you'll never know which version of you is screaming in your own mirror.